Hello there, Robert. How are you?
Hello, hello, Arsalan. Very good, very good. Enjoying the
Good.
first days of spring.
Likewise, likewise. It's getting a little bit sunnier here in London. We're loving that. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining us. We've been planning to do this for a while. We did a session like this last year. Unfortunately, the stream got interrupted on LinkedIn. It went all good on YouTube, but this time we love to kind of refresh on our audience on what is iDenfy, what do you guys do, and obviously get a showcase of your product. So if you don't mind, let's get an introduction from yourself, Robert. Let's learn more about iDenfy, your product, and who you guys service.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for that, Arsalan. So I'm Robert Kotov, head of partnerships at iDenfy, and over 9 years we are in QAC, AML, and now QAB space. So basically, we help companies to onboard individual customers or business customers. So we work with a lot of EMIs, in general, financial institutions, gaming companies, crypto companies, etc. Um, and over the years, obviously, we grew our offering from just individual identity verification to a more offerings like anti-money laundering checks, PEP sanction screening, and obviously now business verification, which is, I would say, one of our fastest growing part of the service. And basically, this is what this webinar will be all about.
Great, thank you. And did you guys, so you said you started with KYC, onboarding individuals, verifying them. What was the shift towards moving towards businesses, verifying them, and helping with B2B onboarding essentially? Was that because of where your clients were experiencing pain, or how did that come about?
Yeah, exactly. We are trying to listen to our partners, clients, and basically we are trying not to be left out in the market because when the financial institution is starting onboarding individuals, we start onboarding businesses as well due to their changes in the regulations and the offering. So there is a still big part of our partners who just do individual KYC, but obviously the B2B space is growing rapidly. So that was one of the main reasons we had to shift and adapt to the current climate, basically.
Got you, got you. And tell me more about where are you guys based and how long ago did you get started? Where do you sell to and who do you sell to?
Yeah. So we are based from Lithuania. Our main headquarters are here. Obviously,
Labas.
we yes, Lavas, Lavas. Um, Obviously, we operate globally, but Lithuania in general, you might know that it's a very good ecosystem for EMIs. A lot of electronic money institutions get their licenses here. Bank of Lithuania, which by the way also use our services as a regulator, created this space to grow, and this this is where we are, and we're gonna stay here for some time, I think. Um,
And who do
yeah,
you kind of sell to in terms of industries? Is it just FS? What kind of financial services, professional firms, or
yeah. So I would say at the start, mainly due to new AML KYC regulations implemented in Europe, it was European fintechs, SMBs, but over the years now KYC, AML, it's really grown to other industries like also e-commerce, obviously gaming,
Mhm.
marketplaces, even logistics. So, for example, whatever if the company is onboarding merchants, let's say we need to verify them that they are dealing with legitimate partners. They also implement business verification solutions like ours, basically.
Understood. And you said SMEs, do you all the way go up to enterprise level and serve some of the largest kind of businesses? Is it for you guys more about volume or is it more about depth when it comes to due diligence?
Well, we do work with startups, and we work with big enterprises. It's kind of a mix of different companies, tier one, tier two. So yeah, we can cover basically growing needs of emerging startups, which, who knows, in a couple of years we might be a big enterprise. And yeah, we also work with a bigger institutional players in the market.
Understood. Of course, I've seen the platform. I've engaged with your company for a while, so I know a few things that I like about the tool. And I wanted to ask you, in terms of strategy, you guys have your own KYC, right? You have your own proprietary technology for that. And I believe you also have your own business verification direct registry hookup. So talk to me about that. Why was that important? Why didn't you guys get an API in like what everybody else does? Why did you guys particularly choose your own tools?
I would say there is a mix of our proprietary tools, and when it comes to some databases, let's say like credit bureaus, obviously we would outsource it to the players who are years in this industry. But we are a software developer company first, so building our own product was a goal, because being just a reseller, then you're kind of like in the middle of things, and you cannot change a lot. So when companies choose who to partner with, I think this is very important for them to understand: are they dealing with the middleman, or they're dealing with the company who, in case something happens, can resolve the issue very quickly, maybe can custom develop some things, which we do for our bigger partners. So yeah, that's the goal.
Awesome, awesome. And just again on that, it does allow control for the pricing as well. If a large payment company wants to do millions of checks per month, per year, or whatever, right? You're going to be on that margin if it's just an API. So I
Yeah.
like the approach that you guys have taken. Um, I mean, should we get started? I mean, just what I just want to tell chat guys, leave the comments that you have any questions for Robert down in our comment section, and we'd love to engage with you guys at the end and go through them. But Robert, do you want to get started? Anything you want to kind of say as a prelude, or do you want to just get jump into it?
Yeah, I guess my prelude will be when I share my screen. I'll get you some intro and few steps how I will run this demo. And obviously, I'm waiting for any questions you might have.
Cool. Guys, leave your questions. Robert is here to answer them. This is a great opportunity. And it's an interactive demo. How often do you guys get an interactive demo in this space where you can all jump us and ask us questions?
Exactly, exactly. Okay, hope you can enjoy it. So I'll share my screen now.
Cool. Let me make you bigger. Add to screen. There you go. Just adding it here. So, okay. So let me make us a little smaller. There you go, Robert.
Okay.
Remove
So
my
hope,
stuff.
yeah.
Just going to hide my camera to give you even more space. There you go.
Okay, great. So I hope all of you can see my screen. That's, I guess, one of the most popular questions in today's environment. Do you see my screen?
We can see it.
Okay, great. So what you see here is basically the platform, the product we've built over the years. This is our backend and dashboard. Now, everything I will show you today can be used via API, and it really depends on your company. You might just purely use our product as a standalone. So, for example, if you would like, you could just go to new verification, click a few buttons, create a link, and send this link to your customer. You can also do that from here. Or you can just use the API, and depending on how your system is built, we also offer some seamless integrations like Shopify app, Zapier connection, WooCommerce. This is more for e-commerce, of course. But yeah, there is a full API for
So
everything
on the
you will see today.
WordPress, presumably you can create like a kind of a form that they go through, or kind of how does that interface?
Yeah, so you can create basically a trigger. Let's say because it might depend. You want to do it before checkout, after checkout. If we talk about like an e-commerce, so WordPress or WooCommerce, we come kind of aligned. And yeah, it's all configurable within your environment in WordPress and WooCommerce.
Great.
Yeah.
Just on
So
the ID, Robert, is it so it's a web-based link, isn't it? So there's no apps. No one has to download any applications.
yes, but we also have our native mobile app.
Wow.
In most cases, it is used for maybe testing, especially if, for example, a company's mobile app only, right? And we want to test and see how our system looks like. We just can download our app and try the flow.
Yeah.
Or in some, let's say, rare cases, it's also used as an alternative.
Does it have the NFC chip reader? You know how passports have the NFC. Does that have the reader here?
Yes, one of the maybe rarely used services
Yeah.
is NFC verification, and that's obviously obligatory to have a mobile app. So you can either do that within your mobile SDK, or you can let your customers download our app and run an NFC verification.
Just on that, I mean, for UK, that's big because in UK, for all property transactions, you need that NFC chip. So it's interesting that you have that, and you weren't even thinking about us. And I
Well,
like
we
to think
always
most
think
people
about
are.
you.
That's what I like to think.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we can jump into the main topic, business verifications. All right.
Yep.
And obviously, when it comes to individual onboarding and business verification is a much more complex, but maybe it shouldn't be complicated. Still, there is much more to configure pre-generating onboarding forms, and
Hmm.
that's obviously done from our dashboard here in the configuration page, or also in some cases in settings.
So just on that, so talk to me about the logic of how a user using iDenfy starts the B2B kind of onboarding. Do they start with a questionnaire first, or do they start with fetching some online public records and then working with that?
Yeah, so I would say everything, depending on the company and how they want to start, would start in preparing either API keys and communicating with their system, setting up webhooks. Again, if we talk about the API integration, right? So you can get webhook communication between your system and ours. Depending on the event, you will get a callback from us, right? Now, in a lot of cases, and where the benefits of our system are, you don't need the API integrations. You can just start and pre-configure the workflows and settings here, and just use us fully with the onboarding forms and etc. You can change things in the user interface. You can change logos,
I like that.
fonts, and etc. So that would be the start if you want to kind of tailor it
I said
to
this to
your
one RegTech. We started the demo with them showing me initially the settings tab where the clients could edit the kind of their branding. And I told them, I already know this is going to be a good demo because you kind of need this if you're really caring about your customer. You want to give them the white label option in the app.
yeah.
And if they're managing portfolios of clients, then they can add multiple selections of themes and stuff. So great. I love this.
Yeah, exactly. And you do this once, although you might do it, in some cases when we are working with groups, you might need to have a couple of different themes, right? So you can customize and create a couple of those. You just upload your own logo, change some colors, you upload your company font if you like, and you're ready to go. Well, almost ready to go. Then we need to jump into the actual workflows configuration, which I will do now.
Got you.
Yeah. So yeah, and in general, to get this going, a few more steps are needed. You will always need to create a workflow, and that
Yep.
workflow will hold the questions the information you need to collect from the customer, either database or in document format, right? So, for example, very popular document in B2B obviously is incorporation certificate,
Yeah.
right? But you can also always ask for custom documents. So as you can see, I named this any doc, meaning that you can just ask for whatever document is required, and the customer would have to upload it. And you see here, there are 9 steps. It's
Yep.
not necessary to have all the 9 steps to
It's
create a
decided,
workflow.
right? You
Yeah,
decide how many steps are in the process based on your risk appetite.
yeah, exactly. For example, risk assessment. You might need the risk assessment in one workflow. Maybe you need that risk assessment in another workflow. If you need a risk assessment, you would then turn it on, right? And risk assessment is usually based on specific questions. And each company, each industry, based on the country, we might have different risk appetite, and whatever risk is in one industry, it
Let's
might be
click on
different.
it. So how do you answer? So is direct or a PEP? You answer it, and how does that work? Let's see the answer.
Um,
Okay. So during onboarding, would you fix these questions, or the customer fixes them, or are they kind of the same, or
Yeah, it's totally dependent on the customer. So it's just like very basic examples of what could be those questions,
great.
and it's just a demonstration where can you add these questions in the actual onboarding flow,
Awesome.
for example,
And then
right?
just
Do
just
we
on this,
add it
Robert.
here?
Sorry, I have a
Yeah.
lot of questions on risk assessment. Um,
Okay.
so if I say yes, he is a PEP, hypothetically, can I then
Mhm.
say, okay, if I say yes, there's a risk attached to that yes. So for instance,
Yeah.
give a numerical score of 70 to that, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. So I would need to move maybe to show you risk assessment profiles, right? So risk assessment profile is created separately,
So these
right?
are
And this is
different
where
risk assessment templates, basically.
yes, but in most cases, companies do it themselves because they have,
Yeah,
like 20, 30, sometimes maybe 5 questions only, and way pre-configure what is the risk. Let's say, like in this industry, if you are from, fintech, crypto assets, gambling industry, there might be a different risk to that,
got
right?
you.
And each time the answer comes through, let's say if it's a fintech, it's a low risk, only 2 points will be added. If it's a high risk crypto assets, 4 points, and then at the end, the risk is calculated on all of those questions.
Great.
Let's say you might see the result high because these answers were answered, country of incorporation, product risk, delivery
Now,
channel risk.
the other question I had is, so say I'm sending a questionnaire, would I then need to, and would the questionnaire answer the risk assessment, or is that in development, or
So a questionnaire can be just a questionnaire where you just, ask something which basically you require to collect from the customer, or it can be risk assessment questionnaire, which also then provides you
so
with
I
the
can
risk
send them
assessment.
this very risk assessment questionnaire. They fill it out. I don't need to answer it again. I just review it now.
Yeah, we would answer the basically the customer you're onboarding should answer that, and it's just your choice to have the risk assessment in the workflow in general
Yeah.
alongside all of the other questions which are not adding any risk points
Yep.
or not. So it's your choice. Yeah.
So you can have your questions about product, about just who are you, do you have siblings or whatever, and then you can have
Yeah.
your risk assessment questions, and then
Yeah.
of course your banks and the good
Exactly. Yes.
stuff.
Exactly. So if we go through each of the steps, let's say in the company information, you obviously collect some default questions: company name, number, um, tax identification numbers, addresses,
Yeah.
etc. Then we also have an open banking integration,
Okay.
um, but currently for EU countries only.
So
So
this
if
is
you,
like it pulls up your iPhone, or it asks, "Hey, if you want to connect this to your HSBC," and or how does this
yeah,
kind of work?
yeah, exactly. So in the onboarding form, if you have this step enabled and you pre-configured it, that you want to confirm IBAN data
Yep.
of the company, we would open it in their online banking, click that they confirm, permission
Yep.
granted, and then at the end of the result in the verifications, you will see that their bank information was
And that
confirmed.
happens on a web browser as well, right? So usually you do that on an app, but on a web browser, does this work or
Yeah, so you both. You can log in either on the web browser or on the app. Depends on the bank, but if you, let's say, log in into the web browser, it's usually, if, for example, Wise account, right? I use Wise. Uh, I can log in on the web. It still will ask for the confirmation in
trigger
the
the
app.
same thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And in terms of source of funds, I mean, usually
Yep,
you do open banking and these kinds of, so is this kind of a, so one, it's a bank verification. So this is the bank you're claiming it is. And then second, we can ask for account balances to then review
exactly.
source of funds.
Yes, and the transaction list, basically.
Got you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. So yeah, we'll skip this step. So this is again in those cases where you're onboarding not a company but sole proprietorship. Again,
Yeah.
quite rarely used, but in some cases useful.
Pretty
But
useful for smaller companies in like Cyprus and Malta. They onboard a lot of sole proprietor kind of companies setting up other companies.
yep, exactly. Um,
So this is your director information. You fill this in, and then they get a KYC form, presumably.
yeah. So how it works, as you can see, there is like a switch to enable director ID verification or not, and you can also pre-configure rules for what that identity verification should entail.
Include, yeah.
Yeah, like do you need like proof of address collected within the verification session? Do you want to use
So
it in a
technically,
yeah?
you could actually just have one. You could have one KYC form sent that includes pretty much all your workflows, right?
Technically, yes, but normally uh, companies obviously we want to have not just collection of the data, because everything you're collecting about the
Yes, yes.
company in those fields, they are connected to also all sorts of checks, right? Registry check,
So
AML
when you're
check.
collecting that company certificate, is there like an internal system that reviews the document?
Yes, there is an AI assistant which can help review the document, but good practice is always to cross-check that document with the live registry data. So
Yeah.
whatever the incorporation certificate says, you should just check it in the company's house, right? If that all matches.
Sweet, sweet. And then you
Yeah.
have representative information. And what is that?
Yeah.
Is
So
that when a PA works on your behalf?
yeah, exactly. So depending on the company, let's say if you're onboarding, even mid-size or bigger companies, usually the director will not be the one filling all these forms, right? There could be a representative on their behalf, and here you could verify also, just like a director, an identity of representative, and maybe collect additional document like power of attorney, for example, or any other document.
Cool.
But you can also turn off this page completely if you like. Yeah, then ownership structure pages. I think this is one of the again more important steps. Where do you go for first level ownership or for full ownership list? So basically, it's highly configurable. How deep do you want to collect the data from the customer, and you can specify the percentages of shareholders, shares owned, and you can also apply identity verifications for individual
Nice.
shareholders of the company. And by the way, maybe I didn't point this out. Whenever I enable ID verification, it doesn't mean that that shareholder will need to do that immediately. There will
Yeah.
be an option to do that, but usually that option is not used, especially for shareholders, because they're not there. But a representative or whoever is filling the form can leave their email, and the system will automatically send a link to that shareholder to do the verification whenever they are ready, basically.
Got you. So I don't have to do it through here. We can leave it to the PA to actually give them a more precise link. And then I like the fact that you're allowing me to actually edit, not in a greater settings tab, but in a workflow by workflow, how many percentage I want to look for. So in one workflow, enhanced due diligence, I want to do that 10%, right? But for my normal cases, I like to do 25 or something like that.
Yeah,
And I don't want one tab or one settings that just mass applies it to everything, right? Which I've seen in a couple of tools. But I love that you're letting me have kind of different workflows with different ownership percentages.
yeah, exactly. And speaking from experience, depends on, again, on the company, on the industry. If it's a company solely operating in the UK, you might have one workflow and that's enough. But if you're operating in UK, EU, maybe North America, most likely you will have different set of rules and even questions applied to these type of companies. So
Definitely.
yeah, you will be able to choose the workflow before initiating that workflow.
Now, here's a question. So I've seen some tools do it. So you also have access to data, registry data, right? So
Mhm.
is there a way we can tell these guys this is what we found?
Yes.
Or when we send them an ownership structure, is it usually empty or how does it usually work?
So ownership structure is the customer confirming who are the owners. So let's say maybe 50-50. There is two individuals. That's it. They provide that there are two UBOs, right? But the actual registry information, you need to first of all submit as the end customer the form, and then you'll be able to automate the registry check if you created a custom rule. And this is, I guess, one of the most important parts of the creating a workflow, that you are
Okay.
creating automations, and those automations can be all sorts of automations, right? You see here, I have registry search automation, credit bureau
Yep.
lookup automation, AML company check, and etc. And you can kind of
We've
move them
barely
around.
even touched AML checks or actually all these stuff. So it's great, actually.
Hmm. Yeah, and what these means that whenever the customer submits the form, all of these automations will trigger the check basically. So AML will be already checked for beneficiaries, for the company and entity itself, and other checks. So it's all depends on what do you want to automate, and maybe you want to keep some things
Manual.
manually. If you want to, for example, order a credit bureau report, it's not always required, but it kind of enriches the data of the registry. So it depends. In UK, for example, companies house, obviously we share the data and it's quite extensive. But if you go, for example, into USA, their Secretary of State information is very poor compared to this parts of the world. So the credit bureau report could be ordered manually, for example, to see more.
Got you.
Yeah. Yeah. So you finish the workflow. You set all the rules, VAT validation, for example, address verification, etc. Those custom rules are pre-configured in the separate setting here, and this is where you can kind of specify the AML company check. Do we check it in all the sanctions in state operated enterprise lists and etc. Or do you turn those off? You
And
also
who do you guys use for this? Is it
we use
again your own?
uh, we do use Accurus as our
Yep.
provider, as a dataset provider.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of one of the demonstrations. How can you configure the automation? There are also others which work in the background, uh, which blocks or flags the company immediately, because
Interesting.
if you set a lot of automations and the customer submitted the info, it obviously incurs a charge, right? Incurs a charge on AML, identity, registry, etc. But what if one of the UBOs is from the sanctioned country, right? Then
Yeah.
it doesn't really make sense, because just because of this fact, you would basically decline the company, right? So you can create a rule that, okay, if UBO is from sanctioned country, then it just automatically blocks the company if you chose to do that, basically.
Okay. And in terms of the blocked country list, do you track a live kind of a record or is this like we just add the countries here and it just be updated every quarter or month?
No, it's pretty much based on the client's requirements. We provide them the platform, the
Yeah.
system. We set the rules on their own here.
And that could
because
be also blocked names, right? So entity names, or it could be any
yeah,
kind of set of
it could
fields. It
be,
doesn't need to be a country.
it can be quite it could be, for example, activity code. If
Nice.
you're collecting activity code, if the company is, I don't know, dealing with, I don't know, guns or something.
Certain industries, yeah, you
Yeah,
just don't
yeah,
want to work with high risk, whatever setup, right? You just can't work with them. Um,
exactly. Yeah,
mm, Very interesting.
and
And yeah, sorry.
yeah, that's good.
You could also block emails. So
Yes,
at Gmail, I could just block all at Gmails going through this.
yes, exactly.
Got you.
And you can
Great.
also, for example, what we can do a light check during the onboarding session, not a full report, but that
Mhm.
light check can, for example, reveal that a company is not an active company anymore, right? So that's one of the things our clients use. That okay, if it's a not active company, there is no point, digging deeper, right? And you can
Yeah,
just block it. Yeah.
looks great. Sounds good.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Okay.
we created
So
our workflow.
yes. Now the next step would be executing that workflow, and again, you can do that in multiple ways. But in the demo, I will show you how we can do it manually. So create a session. You have all the workflows you created here. You pre-select one of the workflows you want to execute.
Yep.
So when you're doing it manually, that's pretty much how it's done. If you have the API integration, there should be a trigger from your side to, if you have multiple workflows, which workflow should be
Yep.
triggered.
Now these again, if you're a bank, if you're a law firm, this is family law. This is high property, high risk. So it's just again your scenario, your products.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and you can also utilize our system. You can also connect your own email domains here if you like. So you can create a template and just
So it will
pop
go
in the
at
messages
your
here.
Aventine Arslan at Aventine Lab will send it instead of hello at
Yeah,
iDenfy.
correct.
Great,
Yeah.
great,
Um,
beautiful.
and you pre-configure whatever you want them to see in the email. We will
Mhm.
see it as a link. We click the link and they start the session.
And
That's
then
one
it
way.
says available auto tokens there. Was that an AI feature at the end of the text box I saw? It said
Um,
available autofill tokens. So there's some AI capabilities here as well.
yeah, it's just a token string here. So
Token string. And
yeah,
what is a token string? Sorry.
yeah. In this case, it's the link to
Okay.
start the
Got you,
workflow.
got you.
Yeah,
Is the and
nothing special.
just
There
a
is
quick
no
question.
AI here. No.
No problem, no problem. I'm just jumping
There
the
will be
gun.
some AI. I will show you, but
Um,
not at this stage.
I can select multiple workflows, is what you're saying, or just one? So can I select two or
Well, in this case, when doing it manually, you can select one which you will like to be filled out by the
makes
customer.
sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Then you can also do it, let's say, if you go through advanced settings, uh, you can assign a client ID. The client ID usually is used when there is an API connection, right? So from their end, and a company will assign their client differentiator. It can be an email, it can be just some other ID number, so they can filter out customers both on their end and
Yep.
in our system by that client
That's
ID.
their case management number, right?
Yeah,
Case ID,
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah,
Cool.
could be. Uh, then you can pre-configure like session validity, so how long the link will be valid.
Yeah.
So obviously, if it's a manual link, sometimes 3 hours definitely will not be enough. You might want to have it, a longer time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
in
then
language, like sorry, language. How many languages do you have? And talk to me about that.
yeah. So currently, we do have 3 languages for in
Okay.
the onboarding forms, but much more languages will be added in the coming months. For
Great.
example, for identity verification, we do have 32 languages. So obviously, identification is much older product, but yeah, we are getting there.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And as you can see, I can also select a custom theme, right? I can leave it as a default one. If you have another one, you can just select which one do you want to use for this particular session.
Nice.
Okay. Uh,
We created these themes at the very beginning.
Exactly. So all prepared, all set up, and now we can get it rolling.
Cool. So a session is basically a workflow or a link or
Yeah. A session is the onboarding
flow, basically.
form or
Yeah.
flow, yes. And this is that, yeah, it's more like a flow. Onboarding form is what you see here. And we use this to, complete the flow of the onboarding.
Sweet.
Again,
So
this is our logo here, which you can change, and obviously your company name here. If you like, you change this, and you'll see, iDenfy requested to provide company details, or your company requested to provide company details. And this is basically okay. This is the end user filling the form already. So that's we are getting there to see the data by the end customer. All of these links, terms and conditions, privacy policies, we have here our URL here, but it's basically, again, you can change this in settings if you like, or you can turn them off if it doesn't make sense. For example, pricing might not make sense too much in this onboarding form.
got you.
Okay, and now we do have like this smart search for companies. There is a pre-selected country here based on the IP address. So if you would be doing that in UK, you would see United Kingdom here. A customer can, let's do this maybe, select their country, and they're just typing their company name. I will use one of our partners. And what the search does, it's already finds companies, right? You can see the registration number of the company. You can see the name, the address of the company, and obviously the name, yes. So
And how does it do that? Are you connected to a static database or?
yeah, we do connect in general to company registries and credit bureaus. So it's a mix of results from these databases.
Got you. Got you.
So whenever we are choosing one company, let's say this one, it's my company, and I click continue. In the next step, there is also an AI assistant who helps to fill the missing fields. So, for example, here we found email address of the company, the address, and other things, postcode, etc. So in other cases, it could be VAT, it could be something else, which is publicly available online. Yeah, this is the risk assessment questions we left on, but let's have them on here. Oh, that's not a good country to have origin of funds, I guess.
It wouldn't be a bad one for a demonstration purpose.
Yeah. So what I would do basically, I will not finish this form. I don't want to execute all the checks. I have this company already in the list, so I will show you how the end result basically
Cool.
normally
But do you
looks.
have to upload the certificate or can we skip this because you might not have it at the beginning, right?
It's again up to the customer. You might, if you make this as a required field,
Yeah.
they would need to upload it. If not, I can now just click continue and continue basically. Yeah.
And I could ask shareholding, I could ask anything there. It doesn't need to be certificate, could be a trustee, whatever.
Exactly.
Cool.
Oh, in this case, let me actually, sorry, let's redo it. I'll turn off the risk assessment. Oh, I think I just chose the wrong one. So because I'm getting back here, in some cases, obviously, if it's a new company and depend on the country, you might not find it. But that you're not getting stuck here anyway, because you can, just mark my company is not listed here,
Okay.
and then you're just filling out all of these details
Manually.
manually. Exactly.
And in this case, you could have the company's details on email. There's so many scenarios, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So for example, now you see I corrected the workflow, and I had a field VAT enabled, and it also found a VAT number. And if we have a VAT check, once this is submitted, it will show valid, not valid VAT, for example, related to this
Cool.
company.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, as you can see, there are more documents to upload here. Let's skip the bank. And now in the director section,
Mm-hmm.
we need name. And you see those choices, right? Verify director identity later, verify director identity now. So obviously, if I just leave an email, I can move on to the next page. If I
Mm-hmm.
want to do it now, then we would have this load up, and I can go
Yep.
through the identification session now, if you like. Yeah, let's
Cool.
do it.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
Of course.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, so verify your identity. This is the privacy policy screen, which you can also white label. And then you see a few choices. Normally, this choice is turned off for clients, but again, for demo, I can show you that we have an option to download our app if you want to do it in the app,
Cool.
or if you want to do it on the web, but in your mobile, you
Yep.
can scan the QR code and continue on your mobile.
Or you
But
can just
again,
continue.
yeah. Obviously, mobile is always preferred for identification, right? Because we have good cameras, you can move around from the lighting and etc. But you can also do that here. So we do have global coverage for most document types and
Mm-hmm.
countries.
What's
For
a
example,
LA wallet? Is that
yeah,
a that's not a digital wallet, is it? That's a California Pacific thing.
it is actually a digital wallet. So we do have support for a range of electronic IDs, which are becoming much more popular.
Yep.
So, for example, Clear is another EID option. LA Wallet is another Samsung wallet. We also are integrating now Apple Wallet, which is very popular in the United States. Now,
Yeah.
again, are those are allowed for the company based on their KYC and regulations? That's another question. If
Well,
you are
I
an
mean,
EMI, you
who's to say Onfido is any better than Apple, right? They're all just tapping into the same locations at the end of the day.
yeah. So yeah, but you
I would
can.
actually trust Apple a lot more if I'm making an observational statement on KYC.
That's true, but if, for example, you are an EMI, uh, most likely you will not be allowed to accept this as a proof of identity.
Fair, fair.
If you are just like an e-commerce, yes, it could be enough. If you are an EMI, you still, in most cases, need a government-issued identity card, passport, residence permit,
But
driver license.
I mean, just for the kind of future, I think this will be, how you log into apps now where it says, do you want to log in through Google,
Yeah,
Outlook or whatever? I think this in the future it's going to be like this. Do you want your Apple
exactly.
wallet? Do you want your? But yeah, that's just a. But I like the fact that you guys have a variety just for US. You have such a variety.
Yeah, and we can also pick United Kingdom. You will see that there is
One
also
ID.
One
Okay.
ID, Yachty ID, so the ones who are also popular in UK. So EID is let's say still emerging, but we're already there. If you like, if you want to offer that for your end users, we can
I
do
like
that.
that.
Okay. Now, obviously, to not show my personal data to
Of course.
the whole world, we use this dummy document. So please know that in my settings there are some security features turned off, so I can finish the demo. Now, identification, it's a very dynamic process, right? People are First of all, people are different, right? People we usually sit in different environments, um, and lighting is important, and basically the camera quality is important, and so on. So We give some instructions first. You can read those instructions. Those instructions can be translated into much more languages. So we can pick, anything here, Spanish, and we can continue here. Now, what's important in the identity verification process for the end users, people will do mistakes one way or another in most cases, but how the system handles those mistakes is where you then get better or worse results with the identity verification process. So one quick demonstration, for example, is that if customers sometimes, put the document too close,
Yep.
they cut some corners, sometimes the document number is there. Our system reacts immediately, so you don't need to submit all the photos and then just get rejected. It will kind of correct you along the way. And same applies if there is other cases like blur, glare. Maybe show you quickly some screenshots like what our system could show. For example, blurry, glary,
Okay.
altogether, or if its document is too far, for example, to read it properly. Yeah, so there can be real. You also see here 3 buttons. You can go back, obviously. You can upload a file, which is in most cases not recommended, because we live in a generative AI era. Uploads are definitely not live verifications, and they can cause you issues.
Well, it could be tampered with, whereas this is a capture of an official ID doc.
Yes, but again, from our perspective, we provide the platform. If you are okay with that, and for example, your regulations allows you that, if you're not an EMI and if you're just onboarding it for community, purposes or something like that, you can let the customers to upload it. If you're happy with that, so we will verify that document from the upload for what is possible to verify, because it's just an upload. But normally, it should be a live process.
So in this example, it read it, it was fine, and now it's asking, hey, can you confirm this is you, the one you took a picture of?
Exactly. So the whole process, well, it has a lot of steps. It recognizes the template of the document. It recognizes that there is no screen use, for example, from the mobile device. It's not a print, although in my case it's a print. This feature is turned off. And then next step is the face verification. Biometric matching to the provided document will happen.
Now, this is classic. There's no way you live in 2026 and you haven't gone through this like 10 times a year, right?
Well, I speak with all sorts of different companies worldwide, and some of them, especially from USA, for example, some let's say old school businesses still see it as we cannot implement this. Our people will be, customers will be scared away.
America is a bit catching up on ID, I guess, but in Europe this is very common, right? So it shouldn't be a shocker. Even to French people, it is an absolute shocker. It shouldn't be.
Of course. So now, probably, obviously, if you did that multiple times, with some companies, you notice that you sometimes need to spin your head, move your head closer or away, smile, or do some additional action. So we do have that module as well. It's called an active liveness detection. In this demonstration, I'm showing you a more user-friendly approach, which is a passive liveness detection, where I don't need to do anything else. It's all done from one photo. Well, it's actually not one photo, but it looks like one photo. But if I try, for example, to pretend that I'm here, right? The system will detect it, and face verification fails because there is no actual face here. It's representation.
Now, I love to. I mean, this is a simple demonstration, but one I'd love to run a competition to see how many of these tools can catch an AI video of somebody moving their head. I'd love to see that, but that's for another day, I guess.
Yeah, even this passive liveness detection has the security features to detect deepfakes, to detect insertion attacks
Yeah.
via virtual camera softwares and etc., which are constantly updated. Again, everything is moving very fast, right? We are catching those on a daily basis. What can happen in 2 years, 3 years? Who knows? Maybe the system will and the regulations will adapt to more electronic IDs where
Yeah.
it's then there is no insertion needed.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So you do this, and then
Yeah. So you do this. I guess main point here that you don't need to torture your customer with all sorts of different actions, because then people again do more mistakes, and sometimes they fail because of that. So as easy.
I prefer the torture because they will have less AI scenarios that will smoothly, perfectly do the head motion, and it's a little bit AI's job will be a little bit more sloppy with deepfake and everything. If you have that kind of move your head, smile, say Aventine Lab 3 times in front of a mirror.
True, but that also depends, what type of system you're using. There are a lot of players out there who basically provide you with just the auto verification, right? So
Yeah.
yes, in that case, it's probably better to use active line detection with all the security protocols in place, which unfortunately hurts the conversion rate. But if you
Yeah.
use a service like ours, and you can use this in a more user-friendly way with passive line
So you
detection.
could have it based on risk score. So if they start answering some medium risk assessment questions, then it takes them towards a lesser enhanced active KYC.
Uh, yes, the verification session can be pre-configured. Do you activate it with active or passive liveness detection? You might be onboarding maybe just individuals with active, and you don't want to review those verifications. And for businesses, you do it easier. So yes, it's all can be flexible. But what my point is that if you use our system with
Hmm.
this user-friendly passive liveness detection, and you use it with our 24/7 manual review service, there is nothing to be worried about, because there is a second liveness check after the verification is submitted.
Nice. So you actually recorded GIF and send it over.
Yes, and all of these, whatever I'm showing you here, is reviewed by our, trained
Yeah.
manual reviewers in real time.
So when you say trained
Yes,
manual reviewers, what does that mean?
that means that we have a verification department, and there are agents working round the clock to review not
So
just the
you have
data, but these
so
videos.
for all verifications that go through your platform, there is a human checking and making sure this is legit. It's not just a machine saying this is
All
legit. A human has checked it.
yes, all if you choose to have it all. So, for example, fintechs we normally use the full service. So it's not just AI; it's our manual review. There are other companies who just use auto verification, and they're happy with that. There are big companies who just use auto verification, and because they have their own internal manual review departments, we review it themselves. So again, flexibility here. We can do it the way we want.
Cool. So here we failed because obviously Joe is not a real person, right?
Yeah, it's a face is not really the same. I think I look a bit better. That's why.
Well, it's not a real thing. So obviously the system would cross-reference that with some other areas. No point running a screening check because it's just failed, right? So it's not going to cost you money there. Now, what does a look profile look like when we do have it filled in, when we have all the answers come in? What does a pre-populated profile look like?
Yeah. So if you know, let's maybe skip this one. Although there will be not much to show here. Let's say. So, for example, just to understand what the system does in this case, right? If I did not do the verification now, uh, I left the email. The system now sent an automated email to that basically specified email. Oh, sorry, I'll just.
The sun just attacks you.
Yes, spring is really here. Okay, so yeah, so for example, yeah, as in the workflow, you see here all the steps. Now we are on the ownership page,
Mhm.
right? So I can specify that to make it more quick. That there is only one owner, which is the director, Saint John Doe. That's it. Then you have additional questionnaire if you need, again, enabled. It's just demonstration that it can be,
Whatever
all
you want.
sorts of drop-down menus, radio buttons. If you need to upload some images, you can do that as well in the questionnaire. Again, this is not risk-related questionnaire, just a free-form.
What's your entity type? Tell me about your headquarters.
Yeah, anything. Exactly. And then at the end of the form, before you submit, you can still correct it if you see there are some mistakes. But if I click submit form, that now goes to our system, and based on what automations were enabled, it can take like some time for those automations to be executed, normally in a matter of seconds or a couple of minutes.
Cool.
But yeah, let's say I completed, I submitted the form. This is how the end result could look like for the submitted company application. And now we see multiple tabs from compliance and monitoring, reports, documents, fraud prevention, and etc. Companies, again, we have different risk appetites, different things to check on the company, and we might not need, such extensive information on everything. For simplicity, we can create favorite cards, basically. So, okay, we just need to check VAT, address was checked, obviously identification, and you just see it in the first page. So you don't need to,
so you control what shows up in here, which is fantastic. Again,
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, for example, for EMIs, even these sections are very popular and necessary. Leaving comments between team members, audit logs, so everything is tracked, and you can see when and who ordered the report, or any automation was executed, and etc.
Now, what's that thing on the bottom of the page that says request update, contact clients, and comments? Is that associated with the tab we're looking at, or?
So that's associated with the whole company application, and the whole company application is all of these tabs, right?
Okay.
QAB processes usually where they get stuck is, again, human element, because there was a bunch of questions, bunch of requirements. Customer might miss something, might typo something, or etc. You can just go here and enable an update for the submitted form. You can even create follow-up reminders, because how emails are. Sometimes they're missed. Sometimes it takes time to see those emails. And then, again, your onboarding or compliance officer who gets this information and to review it, they can choose to request company modifications. For example, address was not clear. Maybe the operating address had a typo or something, and you want to just make sure that it's correct. You could just pinpoint this one field, and again, with a template, send it out back to the customer, right? And how it would look like, we would open the same form I just showed you, right? It only showing this field. They correct it, and the information is resubmitted again.
Cool. We do have a minute, Robert, left on our timing, but do you want to show quickly anything else, like maybe the screening and the AI reviewer?
Yeah.
Then...
So AI reviewer, I would leave this as maybe teaser. Whoever wants to contact me and see what it is. It's, as you can see, it's in a beta version, but it's a new feature which helps not just collect all the information for your review. It can actually automate the approval of the company. If the certain rules were met, identification approved, no AML hits, company information compared with the registry and matched, that's it. It's automatically approved. This feature is not necessarily best for financially regulated institutions because they still have their compliance teams. We want to keep their jobs, but that's getting there to full automation when it comes to businesses.
Cool.
Yeah, and maybe a few things here. We ordered multiple different reports. Let's say credit bureau report. Credit bureau report, depending on the company, sometimes can be 200 pages. If you use our AI assistant, it scans the page and it shows you red flags if there are any red flags. If there are no, it kind of summarizes everything in one place. And you have
Yes.
these documents ordered and whatever the customer uploaded as well. And yeah, you mentioned AML checks. So we checked, UBOs, directors, or the company themselves. You see clearly there are flags, and if there are flags, what kind of flags there are.
Okay. So this is where you remediate, could delve deeper. I just want to say this because look, we have no time left, but
Yep.
I want to emphasize to people why I think this is a great tool. I've put my comments on many reports why I think this is top tier tool, comprehensive, easy to look at, slick to use, and you're providing the evidence for it. Now, I view probably hundreds, if not more than hundreds of demos per year. So I get to see a lot. 90% of what I see is not good. It's not good. It's not clean. There's no logical design. There's no depth. What I love here is there's depth on everything. Even if you go to where was the comment section where there was an audit log behind it. So there was an audit log and a comment section
Hmm.
on one of those tabs. This. So just the fact that you didn't make this a text box and you actually made it a comment box. You could have easily just dumped it a text box and said, well, they can just say Arslan at this time left this text. But no, that's not good enough because all of that text could get deleted. So you've gone the comment box. So KYC, it's your own totally white label. Screening works. You can see it's actually a proper system with remediation capabilities, fuzzy matching, full KYB system, questionnaires, risk assessment. You can fetch data straight from the sources, or you could get it straight from the client. This is what I like about tools. It's clean, comprehensive, well thought out. So if you guys are wondering why I think this is an S tier tool, here's the evidence.
Yeah, thanks for that, Arslan. And maybe just to add one little thing, how we built this tool, because yes, we built KYC. When it comes to business verification, it's very different to different industries. Again, different compliance teams and etc. So we chose to do it with one big financially regulated institution in Europe, all together with them, because they were not happy with whatever we had with their current vendor at that time. So we built it together, and basically we had an experienced financially regulated institution helping us to build this system.
Great, great. Now, Robert, let me come back here and have a look at you. Where am I? Might need to show camera here. Cool. So thank you for that. That was very thorough. I loved it. I think this is a great tool, and I highly advise anybody in my network to check it out and assess suitability for yourself. Again, when you see hundreds of tools, you kind of get a feel for what is good and what isn't good. So I could explain for hours what isn't good, but I think you did a great job demonstrating what is good. Any last comments from yourself to our compliance network, to the RecTech network?
Yeah, so obviously this was a general demonstration. I would find me on LinkedIn if you want to talk and see more detail and how can, for example, the system can be adapted to your specific needs. And in general, I would also love to hear any feedback on how this tool can be further improved, because we don't just listen to our current clients, but I would love to listen to any of your audience members here.
Great, great. Guys, you didn't leave any comments, which is disappointing. So next time we expect you to leave comments. But Robert, thank you so much. This was a great session. I'm really grateful that companies like you exist where you're not scared to show demonstration. You're willing to jump on and just show us what a great tool looks like. There are lots of companies that are scared of that. They think competitors are going to steal their IP. Nobody has an IP here. We're all just building sandbox modes, adding stuff in. Unless you have it patented, it's not going to be protected. So thank you for it. Thank you so much, guys. Get in touch with Robert. iDenfy, they're based in Lithuania, but they serve clients globally, some large financial institutions, all the way down to your SME. Super scalable, comprehensive, and slick. So thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Arslan. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day. Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye bye.